Now, we know there's an over-competition problem. We know kids are playing too much. What's the new trend in skills training over the last 3 to 5 years? Everything is competition. Everything is small-sided games. And I love small-sided games. But if you're already playing too much and now your skills trainer says there's no point in stationary shooting and there's no point in doing ball handling drills, everything has to be live, everything has to be one-on-one, 3-on-3, different small-sided games, I think we're running into an issue where we're just draining their competitive juices. Now, those competitive juices is 100% necessary to reach flow state, right? So flow state, when you're just going crazy, just effortlessly scoring, not thinking about anything, you need a big, or you need a certain, it's like this perfect cocktail of a certain amount of adrenaline, a certain amount of dopamine, the stress hormones like cortisol is released. Like there's a certain concoction that lets you reach flow state. And if you're competing every single day, I think you're draining those neurotransmitters and those hormones. And now when you need to reach flow state, I think it's much harder. And some of these guys, we call them gamers, they only play well when they have that right cocktail, when they can release the adrenaline and the stress hormones and the dopamine. If they can't do that and they try to compete anyways, they're really, really bad. And you need things like adrenaline to be mentally focused and to be sharp, right? You make quicker decisions. You're far more accurate. This is a survival tactic. Like this is a lion is chasing you and you get that huge adrenaline release and now you run faster and now I don't know how to climb a tree, but all of a sudden I climbed a tree, right? I'm not talking about from personal experience. Obviously, I've never ran from a lion, but this is kind of why we have these hormones and neurotransmitters. And so your performance elevates when you can release these things. And I think that we're draining them with constant competition. Every skills training session is competition. Even a shooting drill. These days, trainers won't put somebody through a normal, boring shooting drill just for reps. Everything has to be competing. Now, I'm a huge fan of competing, but it has to be used strategically. And in a era where we already have an over-competition problem, I think the amount of AAU being played is already draining their competitive juices. So then to double down in skills training and do more, then we bring them in the weight room and you can't do squats anymore. You have to do velocity-based, by the way, which I love at times. But now it's like it's being tracked. And every time that you jump, you're jumping to touch a vertex, or you're always you're jumping on a jump mat. So everything is being tracked. You're always competing with the person next to you. And I think that kids are becoming stale. I think they're getting burned out. And, this realization kind of helped me start to look at things differently, because normally I would look at a player's, when I look at an NBA player's game log, I'm looking at how many sprints did they get, how much top end sprinting, how much accelerating, how many decelerations did they get, how many jumps did they get. These are the things that kind of guide the program. But I was thinking, like, if we hit 100 decels, 100 XLs, 10 max jumps, 15 high velocity sprints in a workout, and another kid hit the same exact amount, are they the same fatigue level? Well, what if this other kid did it by himself out on a court, just him using his visualization, having fun, and the other guy was competing to get there? Well, we can't just look at the physical stresses. I can't just look at this is how stressful it was on their joints, because the guy who was competing to get there probably also drained those competitive juices. So that's a way higher stimulus on his nervous system. And that next day, he's probably going to be drained. So we don't want to come back the next day and compete again. Whereas the kid who went out and did all that, he has much less of a stimulus on his nervous system. And the next day, he might still be able to go play, or he might be able to compete, and he might be a little bit fresher. And I think that that's never been something that has been considered when it comes to load management. We all just look at the physical stressors, but we don't look at, were you competing yesterday or were you not competing yesterday? Because if you were competing yesterday, today we might want to do some of the more boring drills, or you out there on a court by yourself.